announcements. And there will be more than 175 sessions, as well as one-on-one labs with Apple engineers and digital lounges. All of this is available for free to all our developers to help them get the most out of the conference. Thank you for joining us, and let's have a great WWDC.
Okay. Welcome to the thoughts and reactions of WWDC. Yes, I know that I am late to this, but I've actually been in Australia for the past week, and the jet lag has hit me as I was on my way back here. So I've been getting a few days of rest. I kind of explained it mostly in this video, and I also have the playlist for the Australia vlogs. So please go watch those and able to catch up to here. Give me a minute, I'll give you some time to watch those videos. Okay, hopefully you caught up on all of the videos and stuff, and definitely be sure to subscribe as well as enable those notification bells and drop a like on this video if you enjoy. But without further ado, let's talk about WWDC. Apple's worldwide developer conference dedicated to some upcoming software across all of Apple devices from the iPhone to the Mac computer. We also got some hardware as well, which I will talk about later in this video, but let's start with iOS 16, the latest operating system which applies to every single iPhone user. And just in my opinion, I think this operating system is minor but has a great personality, and kind of a little bit of a spoiler alert, but it also goes the same for the rest of the other operating systems, which I'll get into later. But yeah, iOS 16 has a lock screen customization in which you can customize it based on the focus mode that you have. So if you have a focus mode dedicated to sleep, it'll change the wallpaper as well as the widgets for that. If you have a lock screen based on work or school, then your wallpaper changes and your lock screen is customized based off the focus. So it's really cool, and it's kind of very similar to having the Apple Watch, which if you don't have an Apple Watch, this is pretty new to you and this is really cool. But if you do have an Apple Watch, then this is kind of nothing to you. This is nothing new, and you'll get used to it very quickly. Also, the notifications got an update, so instead of showing 20 to 30 notifications all in front of the lock screen and they're all set on the bottom, there's also the music notification on the bottom as well. Have the scores to certain sports, whether it's the NBA, NHL, or the NFL. And yeah, I think this is cool. Like I said, this is so minor to me, and I think I'll get used to this pretty quickly. Another important update to iOS 16 is the messages, in which now you can actually edit your messages, which is kind of funny because Apple beat Twitter in editing your tweets, and you can edit messages. Elon, Twitter, I don't know, you gotta fix the company, I guess. But I mean, this is funny. This is gonna be so funny because I've had so many mistakes texting, certain things with my huge fat fingers, and it probably goes the same for my family, friends, and the other people in which I know. So like I said, it should be interesting. You can also unsend messages, and you can also unread messages, so you really don't have to, I guess, ghost anybody. Okay. Another cool thing that I like about the messages is on the keyboard you have this dictation and the keyboard stays open, and I think that's a good thing because if you want to speak and a certain word comes out the way that you don't want it to, you have the able to catch it with the keyboard, kind of delete the word that you didn't want to say and kind of put in the word that you want to say. I hope that made sense. But yeah, Messages got a major update, which I like. And like I said, just the edit and undo send is gonna be funny because I don't know. Other important things coming to iOS 16 is a huge update in Maps. The wallet has a person-to-person transaction, so you can actually do payments through the iPhone instead of using your card, which is probably less time consuming, which is a good thing. You have a shared library with photos. You can also copy and paste a certain image and put it in a text or even notes, which I like. That's pretty cool. And that's mostly a computer's thing, but I'm glad it's an iPhone thing now. And I really like that a lot. And basically, Home got a new update to its app, not with just the interface, but what's the word? Certain tasks in which you can do with, the temperature, the lights, the certain cameras, and even more. Yeah, that's iOS 16. Okay, can we talk about Apple CarPlay for a second? Because I actually have a question and a statement about it. This is the design for the next generation of Apple CarPlay coming to these certain vehicle manufacturers. And my question is, why? Because you're kind of inputting the vehicle companies out of competition. Like, yeah, their software sucks, but you're making vehicle companies kind of give up on their luxury interior design in regards to the most important thing, which is the dashboard and the screen. So I don't know. I guess it works. I guess it helps, with the whole ecosystem thing. And my statement is, since Apple is teasing that software in cars, Apple, maybe you should release a car. I don't know if that has mentioned to you, or I don't know, you should compete with Tesla, or, but it's impressive. I mean, Elon, you gotta step up your game a little bit here, but yeah, never mind. But I don't think it won't happen. I don't think it will anytime will release or be announced. So
they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh, by the way, this is releasing next year. So yeah, there you go. WatchOS gets some minor updates and changes to its software with not only Siri, but also notifications. You also get some new wallpapers, and in the keynote, they go into detail regarding some medications, health, and even for the workout app, in which you can do certain sessions however you want to in order to keep yourself healthy and even stronger. And it's really it for WatchOS. Like I said before, a lot of this is minor updates and changes to most of the software, regardless on all Apple devices. But this is where we actually get into the most important stuff, which is the hardware. Apple announced their new next generation of Apple Silicon, the M2, which is a little more better than the M1, but not as better as the M1 Pro, the M1 Max, and the M1 Ultra. So the specs here for the M2, it has a fast media engine, 5 nanometers, 20 billion transistors, 100 gigabytes per second, unified memory bandwidth, 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU, and performs a little bit better than the M1. They showed a bunch of charts here, but where does this Apple Silicon M2 go into? The MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. these are the two devices in which the M2 will actually be in these. So let's talk about the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air obviously has the M2. It has a new design which is very similar to the MacBook Pros, but is actually really small. It has a 13-inch display, 11.3 millimeters, closely to 3 pounds. It comes in 4 new colors, so Midnight, Starlight, Space Gray, and Silver. You have MagSafe, which is great because now you have 2 Thunderbolt ports that you can actually use as an external display. You also have a headphone jack, or an audio jack as they call it, 1080p FaceTime camera, better sound with spatial audio and Dolby Atmos, no touch bar, which is good in most cases, but bad for those who really miss the touch bar. The performance of the MacBook Air with M2 has faster performance in not only the image filters and effects, but also video editing, such as Final Cut Pro or even Adobe Premiere, and then other forms of workload as well. It has good battery, which is great for it to be that much of a thin laptop. 18 hours of video playback, fast charging, meaning you can go from 50% in 30 minutes with a 62-watt adapter. They also announced a 35-watt adapter with 2 USB Type-C, which is really good. You can also charge that with an iPhone as well, or even an iPad. And that concludes really the MacBook Air with M2. The price does start at $11.99 and $10.99 for those who are students or within the education. This is really nice, but I also think that if you really want to go with something cheaper, then I would advise you to get the M1 MacBook Air, because like I said, it only is a little bit better in performance wise, but you can still get the best out of the MacBook Air. And I like the design. It looks really similar to the MacBook Pros, as I said before. I like the colors mostly for the most part. I like the Starlight color. I'm not so sure about the Midnight color, but I'm afraid it's gonna have some fingerprints, so you can get a skin on it and not worry about it. So problem solved. The final piece of hardware here is the M2 MacBook Pro, in which it is a 13-inch, and really what changes is the performance here. You know, you can game on this computer, which I don't know. You also have the image processing, video editing, and as I said before, the other forms of workload that you can do. Again, because it's a MacBook Pro, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as the 14 and the 16-inch MacBook Pros. The price is started at $12.99 and $11.99 for education. So like I said, it's you can pick either one, but I would best to just, you know, if you really want the experience, or for those who are pros, then you should probably get like a 14-inch MacBook Pro, because I don't think the 13-inch is really that much of a use. So, I mean, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it, is what Apple's trying to say here. But I would, you know, spend the extra money and able for your laptop to last very long term. So, but the latest of these two hardware devices with the newest Apple Silicon cannot run without the newest software update, which is macOS Ventura, coming from macOS Monterey. And Ventura kind of reminds me, when they presented it, it looks like the wallpaper from Windows 11. I don't know if I'm wrong here, but you know, Apple does copy a lot of things off. It's just they're the perfectionist type of company. Some of the features in which I really like and that I find important is mostly the, you know, the handoff here, which is kind of FaceTime. So basically, if you're on an iPhone, for example, and then your iPad, and you're switching over to your Mac, then there's a notification which will pop up and ask you if you want to switch your FaceTime from whatever device you have up to your Mac, and then it'll automatically switch it without going through a whole bunch of commotion. You also have this thing called Stage Manager, in which the applications are on the side and kind of helps you organize. You can have up to like 4 applications here, which is really amazing. You know, Spotlight has some shortcuts, and even Safari gets some updates such as password and even some tabs. But the most important thing that I really liked, in which I was very impressed, was a thing called Continuity Camera, in which you can actually use your iPhone as a webcam. Yes, you can actually use your iPhone as a webcam. In addition, they use the ultra wide camera as a top down for any videos in which you do or any Zoom calls that you do, which is out of this mind. And I really like that because it helps with multitasking and not worrying about have to have 2 cameras. You know, you don't have to have like a crazy studio setup because it's all on a phone. This not only works for FaceTime, but it also works for other video calls as well. So Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and other third-party video calls that you probably use. And that concludes really macOS, which I think, again, it's a minor update, but it has a personality to it. Lastly, we get to iPadOS, which has some of the similar features as the macOS with the Stage Manager, and it's kind of starting to turn into, I mean, the iPad is starting to turn into a computer, which I'm very impressed. But what sucks and what disappoints me a lot is there's still no Final Cut Pro. Apple, can you please put Final Cut Pro into at least an iPad Pro? Because you guys have put a weather app, which you guys are finally doing. You guys are finally putting a weather app, but no Final Cut Pro and no calculator? Really?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
But I mean, hey, I can't complain. That's, you know, that's for the years ahead, and hopefully they'll do it. Hopefully. I'm crossing my fingers for it. So that concludes WWDC with all of the software and hardware. Again, a lot of the software will be released this fall, along with the upcoming new iPhones and other Apple devices along with it. And the new MacBooks should be out this month. I don't know what day, but I know the Apple MacBook should be released this month, which is very exciting. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I know I'm pretty late, but I'm glad I'm able to do this video, and I'm very tired. So I'm gonna go ahead and get going. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, love, and happiness as always. See you guys.